Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to our CEC District 28 calendar monthly meeting for September. And my name is Lu Zhao. I'm the first vice president of the council. And today, our president, Vijay Rajanand, cannot join us because he's off the country at the moment. So I will host this meeting, and we start right now, and with we welcome everybody to the meeting, and especially our superintendent, Dr. Blade, and our superintendent for Queens South High School, Dr. Van Ness, and we also welcome everybody, every parents join the meeting. This is the first day of the new school year, so we are very excited. So if can our the roll call, right? So our secretary Natifa can do our roll call now. Thank you.
President Vijay Ramjatan, excuse. First Vice President Lu Zhao.
Present.
Second Vice President Narun Swapna. It doesn't. It's just answer on mine. I'm here.
Present.
Recording Secretary Natifa Lewis, present. Treasurer Utah Chang.
Present.
Member Jaylin.
I'm present.
Member Julissa.
Present.
Member Quentin Messerton. Not present. Member Christine Sacrosanto. Not present. Member Simone Donbark.
Present.
Member Adriana Alicia.
Present.
Okay.
So we do have our quorum today. Also, I forgot to mention that we have two new members. We welcome two new members to our council. Actually, they are our old friends, from last term, Simone Dambach and Adriana Alicia, and both are borough appointee. Also, I want to update the community that unfortunately one of our member, Mohammed Hossein, have to quit the council. We sent him for his effort. He attended the first two meetings, did all the things he could, but their work arrangement he couldn't make it on a consistent basis to attend the meeting. So he decided to resign his position. We have released a advertisement to recruit a new member to fill in this vacancy, and we have received one application before the deadline. So in our business meeting later, we will gonna interview and vote on this new member. So the first agenda on the for the meeting is report from our acting superintendent, Dr. Blake. Thanks, Dr. Blake. And it's all yours now.
Good evening, everyone. To all my colleagues and also the parents.
Are we able to hear him? Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Blake.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. In fact, good evening. It's great to see everyone again. The parents and members of the community, the CC, and also my colleague, Dr. Van Ness. Nice to see you. and also all the members of the CC, also fellow principals, Michelle Cespedes, and also Noah Angeles from the High School of Yeka, York Early College School. So I just want to thank you very much. In this little presentation, I'll share my screen just to give you a sense of what we have been doing. So if you can see the screen, so start from the animation. I'm not sure if it's going from the beginning, but anyhow, so today we were very busy welcoming our youngsters, our scholars, back in their families, back in the school. So that's a picture with me and in the different schools in the District 28. Spending my entire morning visiting schools to see how the first day is going, interfacing with principals and scholars. Our mission for the district, of course, we spoke about celebrating our differences. It's a very diverse district, as we know, to enable understanding in the different differences in the knowledge that they offer, with unlimited possibility to learn and expand our knowledge and commitment to all humanity. We're a very diverse district, so my job is committing to striving for inestimable contribution to the lives of everybody in the district, especially our families and our scholars. In our community district, we focus on equity as a lever for achievement for every single scholar. We know that the district has, as it were, could be a tale of two cities, the northern side and the southern side, but however, we want District 28 to be one district. So my job is to advocate for equity in the district. And of course, I've hit the ground running where that is concerned. Just to touch our priorities, when we looked at the data sets, we believe that the priorities are around academic language acquisition and development. And early literacy is very important from K through 2 for foundational reading skills in early grades. We believe that should be emphasized so that it is a foundation on which every other learning takes place. Increase literacy and language development for our L students, it is so rich in the district, and our multi-language learners. Grades K through 8 to facilitate mastery of core academic content is what we really are looking about in the district. So it's around language development for every form of students, our Ls and our students who learn differently in grades K through 8 to facilitate mastery of the core academic and content expertise, so as to increase academic proficiency rate, because kids cannot read and it's going to be really falling behind. So in our district, we are emphasizing that. That came out, as some of the visits today in junior high school number 8 with Dr. Lasandre. We look at those young scholars. We're excited for their first day at school. And this is a picture of us in the classroom, really getting to know the students and the community very well. That's one of our, and then also to continue to speak with addressing youngsters, because this is all about the children. So I was spending most of my time today speaking with them, getting to know them. And this continues from school to school. That was a theme throughout today, my visit today, and to really get to know the principals. PS40, for example, I was impressed with the great diversity of partnerships that the school will invest in. And that is one of the ways in which we can start to bridge the divide, having partners, strategic partners in the schools in the South, so they can be great schools like any other place in the district. So we're not talking about removing our kids from the South, but to build up the schools in the South. And if they will build great schools, the kids will stay and the families will stay. So that's one of my mantra, to really see how that is done. I was getting up, close with the scholars today, as you can see in the picture there. And then also last week, we went to a community-facing event where we looked at the different engaging politicians, as it were. That is Borough President there, and also Assemblyman Khalil Anderson. And the whole idea is to try to get resources for our district. So I'm in consultation with them to see how we can make District 28 really thrive. And also very, very significant to us as a need is safety. So last week, we went to the meeting for the police officers with the chiefs in the south, south and the north section of Queens, because we know that we have to emphasize safety. Every parent wants the child to be safe. So I really went on a trip to really see how we can really talk about safety. So these are some of the bigger things I'm talking about. I'm focusing on the district. Today, for example, we saw problems immediately. We saw that there was broken AC units in the school, in one school, for example, and within half an hour or maybe an hour, we got that problem resolved. So it's about hitting the ground running, and a leader who advocates for the district. As an educator, I know what it means to educate our students. And I just want to say to the CEC, the body, that, you know, I'm really out there leading the work, as it were, not just in the office, but leading the work. And of course, this work is also done in consultation with my partner, Dr. Vanessa, who both of us had the same experience, coming from the same school in campus in Brooklyn, and bringing this to Queens as well. So I'm up for any questions, but this is what just a little overview of what we have been doing at the district level, and also, to allow it to be translated into the community, because I believe that it's one thing to talk, but it's another thing about action. And the principals and the leaders and the families, that's my job, to get everybody on the same page and to really advocate for our students and our families. So I want to say thank you very much for listening to the presentation. I'll give a more robust presentation as we advance throughout the year, but this is what we're really hitting the ground running today. So it's about literacy, it's about engaging families, it's about engaging the politicians in the community to benefit the school, and it's also to emphasize safety as a major means of how we can really bridge the community together. So I want to thank you very much for listening to the presentation, and I'll be on for any questions or any further expansion or clarity around my points that I've just mentioned. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Dr. Blake. One thing I want to remind everybody, the chat room is open, and if you want to speak during parents comment section, then you can type speak in the chat room. Our member Simone will manage the chat room and come up with the list of speakers. And the speaker list, I think we can close the speaker list at 7:30. So please type speak if you want you want to make a comment. Thank you. So the second item on our agenda today is update from Queens South High School office, and I think in our meeting we have Superintendent Dr. Vanessa with us, and also Executive Director Mr. Chernigov. So I think the presentation is from Executive Director Mr. Chernigov, and you can
would you like me to start?
Oh yeah, that's
okay.
Yeah,
I didn't want to
great.
interrupt you. All right. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Vanessa here, proud superintendent of Queens South High Schools. Just want to bring you greetings. Want to say happy first day of school. Want to say welcome, Dr. Blake. Dr. Blake mentioned, but we had the great opportunity of working together for 4 years as campus principal mates in Brooklyn at Erasmus Hall. So I know Dr. Blake very well, and I want to send him blessings. Want to send the CEC blessings for the school year. It's always an exciting time when we get to start the school year, to see our students come back, our staff come back, our families engage, and really being able to really consider how we take our districts, in my case, districts 27, 28, 29 high schools to the next level, and always doing so in collaboration with our boards and our CECs and our presidents' councils and things of that nature. So thank you so much for having me tonight. I am going to be brief tonight. I'm going to present what I call the rookie stat sheet. As you know, I'm going into my second year as superintendent of Queens South High Schools. And so I want to go over some of the things that we were able to accomplish last year, some of the things we will be focusing on this particular school year, and some of the data outcomes that we had. One of the things to note is that we have our district town hall coming up on September 14th, in which we will be doing a very thorough review of the state of the district. If some of you have been to a Queen South High School town hall, you know it's not just an opportunity to share information, it's an opportunity to be in community with one another. It's an opportunity for us to have solution-based conversations. It's an opportunity for us to really consider how we take our district to new heights while being in community with one another. For those, because it's a new school year, for those who do not know our district vision and mission, at every meeting, I take the opportunity to go over the vision and mission because it is core to who we are as Queen South High Schools. And so for us, everything starts with the element of nurturing our students, our families, our partnerships, and communities, and fostering affirming environments of empowerment, engagement, and infinite possibilities for our students to be able to explore, achieve, and succeed. That's the ultimate goal. And how do we do that? By planting what we call seeds of excellence. And what are our seeds of excellence? Well, sparking innovation is one of them. Really thinking about how do we prepare students to critically think and leave our schools to contribute to positive legacies of change. How do we elevate equity, diversity, and access, making sure that we support the learning experiences of our students and that we cultivate and celebrate diversity and bridge disparity gaps. Ensuring accelerated learning, making sure that we're deepening our leadership capacity, our educational capacity to ensure that our student schools are data informed, that learning and instruction is rigorous, and that is grounded in literacy development, civic engagement, STEM, CRSE, SEL, and most importantly, that post-secondary readiness so that it transfers to college and career aspirations. And then the D is developing student self-efficacy, making sure that we are nurturing students' voice, self, confidence, mindset, and their ability and belief in their ability to accomplish their goals. And then S is to strategically engage our families and partners. We do this work hand in hand, side by side with our community, our families, and our partnerships to make sure we all work together to uplift the work that is necessary to move our students in the direction that they need to move into. So for a quick 2022-23 school year, when I did this sheet with my team, we looked back and we said we did a lot, right, in 1 year, right? We had some initiatives, and you could look on the screen and see some of those initiatives. One of the things that we were proud of were to build initiatives at the school level, for students, and for community. And so for students, we had things like our student squads, which was a work-based learning program. They helped to develop our new website. They helped to do our social media accounts, our branding. We also had what was our Scholar Collective. They are launching what we call the Reset Button Health Initiative, Health and Wellness Initiative, that will be launched across our schools, which is all of our schools choosing to have a mental health cause, right? Our mayor has charged our schools with making sure that we have these mindfulness moments. We call it the Reset Initiative, and each school will determine what that looks like. But our students were able to give us examples of what it could look like. Some of the community initiatives, one of our community's favorite was the Kicking It with Van Ness community walk. This was an opportunity for leaders, students, neighboring middle schools to come out to some of the neighborhood schools and be able to see what the school offers, right? Some of the campuses and what they offer, be able to go into the classrooms, interface with the leaders, and really be able to have some time with me for us to share the great things that are happening across the district, but also to kind of troubleshoot those areas that need to be strengthened within our district. It was one of our initiatives to kind of dismantle some of the perceptions of the Queen South High School's reputation, the old names that some of our campuses had. A lot of our community, elected officials, middle schoolers, the guidance counselors kept saying we did not know, We did not know these programs were offered in Queen South. We did not know the level of achievement of Queen South high schools, and became more interested in our schools this year than ever. We have Working Out with Super of the South, another health and wellness initiative. Everyone that knows me knows that I like to dance. And so we brought that for students and families and staff at the end of the year as we were preparing for testing. And some of the school level and more critical work that kind of focused on leadership development, we had our principal data chats, right? In which we looked at our leaders' data quarterly and met with the administrative team to look at what was the data saying, what were plans of action to improve instruction and teaching and learning, and how do we help to shift practice in order to accelerate learning. All of our schools launched individualized post-secondary plans for students, a school-facing one. So what's the vision for post-secondary readiness for the school? And then what does post-secondary readiness look like for individual students? Those were things that we launched last year, and so many other things that you could see. Intensive school walkthroughs of our schools that were bottom 10, making sure that my whole team went in to do a review to help to shift the achievement. Everything that we do is to make sure that we're building culture, but also building that high expectation for our schools and our students so that they could achieve, succeed, and excel. We gave professional learning in every content area for co-leaders, which is what we call our assistant principals, for new and untenured principals, for our principals, math, science, literacy, guidance counselors. We were able to provide a robust amount of professional development right delivered and given by our district team. And so we're proud of that. This year, some of our 2023-24 priorities is that we are a corrective reading district, and we're excited by that. We were able to partner with corrective reading for all of our schools to have this as a tier 3 intervention for students who come into high school still struggling with reading. This tier 3 intervention helps to provide phonics-based instruction, literacy development, and so that students can be more successful in their classes when they're taking regents, because we know that our chancellor, NYC Reads, right? This is our high school level support to ensure that our students, even at the high school level, when they come to us, still are provided supports in being able to read. We are an illustrative math pilot phase 1 district, so all of our schools are using illustrative math, provides us an opportunity to provide common curricula in math, be able to track data performance, be able to provide strong professional development across our schools. This year, we're looking to launch what we call STEM in the South, really uplifting STEM coursework, STEM pathways, and deepening the STEM work. We will be having our first STEM Expo, in which we're planning to launch in the spring. And as usual, we have the advanced regions. 5 of our schools are doing the new Black History Studies AP course. And so we're excited about 5 of our schools being able to provide that as an AP course offering. And we're consistently deepening our pathways to graduation through CTE programs. An additional 5 of our schools are future ready schools. And so we're super excited what that will bring for those particular schools in resources, in opportunities for students. We were able to advocate and we're able to get 5 additional schools, which would make a total of 9 schools under Queen South High Schools that have Future Ready, which is funding and a pathway provided by Central to help schools build pathways in technology, teaching, healthcare, where kids get apprenticeship, but also certifications in those areas. So we're super proud of that. And here are some of our data points of impact. So all that work we did, what did that result in? We were able to increase attendance from 87 to 90%. We were able to decrease chronic absenteeism from 43% to 32%, 11% decrease in chronic absenteeism. If you look at the attendance of our Ls, we were able to increase it from 83% to 87%, while decreasing it from 51% to 41%. We were able to increase L programming from 90% to 94%. When you look at students with disabilities, again, increasing that attendance from 82 to 85%, decreasing that chronic absenteeism from 55 to 44%. And then again, and this was a big one for us, special education programming, making sure that our students with special needs are getting their services. We were able to lift their programming from 84% to 93%. So some of our data points of impact. And as you can see, we had a lot of areas of success with achievement as well, a lot of increases on our regions, but we still also have areas of opportunity. So we were able to increase in our earth science regions by 17%, chemistry regions by 11%, algebra 1 regions by 11%, algebra 2 by 9%, geometry by 10%, physics by 5%, and our graduation rate went from 89% to 91%. And so we're proud of some of those successes, and we know that we still have a long way to go to making sure that progress moves into what we call proficiency and performance, but we are in the right direction. Our literacy, our English regions took a little bit of a dip with 8%, and living environments with 6%, and global 2 regions with 4%. When thinking about literacy, that's one of the reasons why we're bringing corrective reading in. We know that literacy is the grounding for all content areas, right? And so we want to make sure that our students have strong literacy support. And those were just some of the data points that we were able to kind of go over, some of the things that we were able to accomplish and do within a year. And so we're proud of that. We're excited about that. We're excited about where we're going. And if you join me on September 14th, you'll be able to hear more about that data in a more deepened way and other things that are going on across our district. So thank you for having me and allowing me to just review what's going on in Queens South High Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Vaness. And we are thrilled to learn how much progress our kids are making. It's great news and very exciting.
Thank you.
So so I think so that Dr. Vanessa, this is the presentation, right? So Mr. Chernigoff doesn't have a separator.
No, and so this is thank you for just prompting me to introduce my executive director, Stephen Chernigoff. I usually am here. We will usually be at the CECs quarterly. So we'll come September, usually we'll come again in December or November, February, and the end of the year. You will see Mr. Chernigoff at the next 2. He is my point for District 28, but always the first CECs I like to come, say hello to the community, welcome you over to some of the meetings that we have as the district so that you can stay in the loop with high schools. But Stephen Chernigoff, my executive director, will always be here to answer questions quarterly around high school specific needs, requests, and things of that nature. He's on the call, but he's having some technical difficulties. But he will be with you, and many of you are familiar with Mr. Chernigoff as he's been with me and Queens South for some time. So thank you. And so no, there are no additional presentations. That was the presentation.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Just for a matter for the record, Quentin Messerton for roll call.
Here.
Okay.
So the next thing on agenda is our member report. I can go first. I don't have too much to report at this point. I hear a lot from parents. The first day of school, there are issues here or there, but this is always the case. In the beginning of the school year, but we're gonna see more feedback from parents later. But I do wanna read two comments from the chat room. This is probably for Dr. Blake, if can help us to answer some of the question. One is from question is about the air condition. So do we have air condition in all the school? That's the question, right?
So my response, sorry, can you hear me? My response to that is, so while visiting the schools today, our teams, divided up and looked at all the schools, and maybe one major problem was with experiencing in one school, and we addressed that, and before the day was over, we got confirmation that that problem was resolved. Here and there are some issues in some of the schools with air conditioned units being broken. And in those cases, I think fans were brought in. But as far as we are concerned, or my entire team, was deployed among almost all the schools for today and tomorrow. So while I continue my journey tomorrow, I'll be able to tabulate, get more information. But the major problem was resolved today with AC.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Blake. And another question is about PS354. I heard there's incident, and one of the parents from the school asking, if you have any updates.
No, so the language, the letter that I shared with the community, with the parents and different stakeholders, is basically as was vetted by legal. It's really a matter of personal. There was a personal matter with the principal, Dr. Remy, and until the matter, pending the resolution of the matter, an acting principal or somebody has to be sit in until that matter is resolved. So I'm not really prepared to divulge a lot of information where that is concerned legally, but it's not, the matter did not affect the children in any way, shape, or form. This matter occurred over the holidays. So it has nothing to do with the children, nothing to do with the school. And right now we're ensuring that the school is up and running very well. I was there today. The principal assigned, who's a former principal experience, is assigned to sort of work with the assistant principals who have been there for a long time, one for 20 years. So the school is up and running, and pending the outcome of this personnel matter, then we will be able to give you more information. But right now, there's no danger. The kids are great, and this matter occurred over the holiday, nothing to do with the school.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Blake, to bring the matter to our attention. So. What's the question?
Just paraphrasing Dr. Bromberg's question to Dr. Van Ness. What is the most challenging issue keeping the district from achieving graduation rates in the high 90s? Are there specific high schools that are dragging the rate down?
I actually just responded in the chat. So no, it's not an issue about particular schools. Our graduation rate is in the 90s, is at 91%. We're super proud about that. But one of the things that each cohort has different variables that contribute to graduation rate. And so some of those variables is dropout rates, on-track students, transfers that could occur at higher grade levels. And sometimes those students come in undercredited. So for example, at times I can receive a call that I receive a student in the 12th grade that only came in with 11 credits, right? To get that child graduated on time, it's a heavy lift, right? And so some of those variables can contribute to graduation rate. The one that is in our control is the off track. Students who came to us from the 9th grade and that we've had with us from 9th or 10th grade on up, that are our students, making sure that one, they're not dropping out, two, that they stay on track, and that three, the coursework, the supports are robust enough to support all students and their needs. But when you're talking about variables and what causes it to graduations to be what they are, those are some of the variables.
Okay, so let's move on to our member, doing the report. And so second vice president, Nara Swap.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone is doing well today. And it's the first day of school, so everyone is happy to be back. And I hope everyone had a wonderful summer. I know I did. Thank you for having us today. So one of the things that I wanted to speak about was PS 161Q. The school did not have AC at all, the entire building. The kids were very restless and parents were a little upset. And they're concerned about the health of their child because, it was extremely hot today. This week, the entire week has been hot compared to last week. And I thought we should focus on getting the AC back to our kids because, these are elementary school kids. And, when the kids are restless, the teachers become restless, and it's a concern for everyone. We don't want none of our kids to get sick. That's one of the things that I wanted to share today with everyone.
Blake, do you have Blake, do you have an update for this particular school on the air conditioning issue? What was the school? 161.
Sorry, defer to Dr. Hall. You want to comment on that? Dr. Hall, can you hear me? Or what's it? Could you give me the name of the school? PS what?
PS 161Q.
I'll get back to you with that, definitely.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for unmuting the microphone. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to school year 23-24. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that concern at PS 161. We're going to communicate with Principal Holder, and we'll be able to get some more context around what the issue is there with the air conditioners, what floors the issues are on, which classrooms, so that we can appropriately respond to the concern.
354 was also added in the chat as not having AC.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Lewis.
Okay.
We also know that 220 had the same concern today, but by the end of the day, that was resolved. So we'll get. So we will take care of the other two schools on the list. 161, 354, and also 2 pre-K centers that were visited today also had air conditioning issues, and those are also on our list to ensure is resolved.
What should be the process if there are any other schools that were just not reported? Should they just reach out to the district office? Who is the point of contact? What should they do if there is another school that was not reported that is experiencing the same issue?
Is Vic on the call? Vic Narayan, our district's chief of staff. They can send an email to Vic Narayan. Vic, if you can put your email address in the chat, and that way we can make sure we get a comprehensive list of all of the schools.
And just in addition, we have district team members sent to every single school that those that were not covered today will be covered tomorrow. So more than likely, we'll get the feedback as well.
I am Dr. Hall. I'm including my email in the chat.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you.
So next is Recording Secretary Nakifa Lewis, and can you have an update?
Hey, good evening, everyone. My updates, Dr. Blake already mentioned that there was a community back to school brunch for educators that took place last Saturday. It was a pleasure to see. I missed him, but I did see Dr. Vanessa and a few others. So that was well attended. There were a couple questions. Sorry, I lost one of my train of thoughts. One of the concerns that we had, I made a note of it. I apologize. Look, can you, can you please come back to me? I do have a comment, but
Okay, so we could come back to that. So the next is our treasurer, Yutao Chang.
All right. Good night, everyone. Hope everyone had a good, smooth first day of school. So I have a couple of updates from the parent coordinators. Update from the two schools. I helped to do the interview process. Actually, Julie as well, and PS 303. We are very excited to have a parent coordinator in place before the school starts, and it's very exciting. And she's very passionate and very dedicated, and has a perfect personality for kids and for parents. I hope she's gonna be the perfect parent coordinator for our 303 family for a long time. Also, I helped to interview another PS 82 parent coordinator. It's very hopeful, and that is a bilingual school, and the candidates spoke perfect Spanish, much better than I could ever speak. So, I'm really excited for the school as well. So I think that's some exciting updates. So hopefully we're all working together, do our parts to make our school and community better. And I just heard that the AC updates, etc. I hope everything will go smoothly for our kids and for our parents. As you can tell, some of our parents here are a little bit tired after the long day of work. And but I'm glad that I'm only need to do one update, not like Quentin. He joined the meeting twice, so he's gonna do 2 updates. So for actually, I have a question on behalf of some parents. I heard from like WhatsApp and social media. So the all right, there's some music going on. I don't know if I deserve that. So the parents' concerns are basically when the school starts, like 1 day or 2 days before the school starts, they don't know which class their kids are assigned to and who their teachers were. And so they were a little bit anxious. I understand that different schools have different systems. Sometimes they know that their kids' class assignment at the end of previous year, but in some schools, they don't have this privilege or this knowledge until the first day of school, oftentimes. So I'm not sure if there any DOE specific policy or guidelines for that kind of questions, and if they can get some like answers from somebody like one place. That's my question on behalf of the parents.
Dr. Blade, do you have update on that? I think, I mean,
I'm going to respond on Dr. Blake's behalf because he had to step off the call. Thank you, Luzal. So I'm just going to respond. So you said exactly what the resolve would be. It would be on a school by school basis, but in a general sense, what would happen is that the students would know what classes they are in from the time they arrive at the school. In some cases, before the first day of school, schools will be able to send home to families, your child is in class 101 and 102 or in 103. The latest that information should be given to the parent is when the child and parent arrive to school on that first day. So there shouldn't be a case where a child comes to school and their class has not been assigned. But we're going to make sure that that's a universal message that goes out to all schools to ensure that once the child and family arrive to the school, their class assignment should be ready for them, barring any circumstance where the child is being registered that day, right? So other than that, the child would have a class assignment upon arrival.
Thank you, Dr. Hall.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
the end of my update. Thank you.
So we go back to Natifa.
My apologies, I got a little distracted responding to a comment. But so the questions that I had from my update, we do know that is there a final decision on what's going on with the school bus contracts? There were some delays, some cancellations and so forth today, but my understanding is that they're not officially on strike. Is there any update on that? That's question one. Secondly, with the continued concern with the influx of migrants and so forth, how is our district impacted? I know there was a recent large space that was being dealt with in Queens. So how does that impact our district? Are there any kind of plans in place? We do have some family shelters that are definitely within our district. At least one of the hotels on Jamaica Avenue has been used in that capacity. Where are these students being placed, etc.? There has been concerns in terms of sometimes the requirements in terms of things like vaccination and so forth, for a lot of these students. The third question, parent coordinator interviews. There were quite a few parent coordinator changes over the summer, and we know that the policies that each school should have one. What is our current status with parent coordinators throughout district? Are there any schools that are still missing any? Is there any reporting numbers of new principals? There was the one update that you said that matter is being dealt with separately, but are there a lot of other changes in the district related to that? And then the final question, I know that there's going to be an in-depth dealing with the district report of numbers and schools and so forth in a subsequent meeting, but I had a question about the preliminary report from District 28 regarding 2 schools that are listed as under whatever the threshold numbers are. One of those schools, Jamaica Children's School, is only in its 3rd year of graduation. Its first graduating class was 2020. It is a small school, and as a matter of fact, in attempting to be rezoned for additional pre-K and so classes in the past years, that was denied because they said they did not have space to go, but they show up in those reports because they are listed as under 250, where within the school, that's around the space that they have. How are those numbers being calculated? Because it's not a proper reflection of the district. If a school is growing, it has exceeded 58% of its capacity between 2 years, but it's still showing up as being under the numbers. And secondly, the other school that's listed on there is MS72. For those of you who were active last year, knows that that was a site of potential co-location, which we successfully fought off. Many people were able to go on the walkthrough throughout that building and realize that Blue Book numbers were not accurate. Although it's listed as being about 40% utilization, when you look at the shared spaces and the fact that even some of the students who are sharing the District 75 school that's also in that building are forced to do gym in a locker, those are inaccurate numbers. So how are these numbers being actually calculated, and what plan is in place to ensure that they more accurately reflect our district? So I'm sorry, it was like 5 questions. I wanted to get them all out before I forgot again.
Thank you, Secretary Lewis. I'm going to speak for Community School District 28. I counted 4 questions, so if I missed something, please just let me know once I get through the 4 responses. So I have, the first question was around the bus strike. And what we know at this time is that the bus strike has been averted. So at this point in time, there is not a bus strike. And Superintendent Van Ness, is there anything else that we can add on the bus strike?
So right now, what they're saying, it's been averted for the next 2 days. And so they're still in negotiations. It's not something that is with New York City's, the contracts that they're trying to negotiate. But right now it's been averted for this week as they work for resolve. And so that our chancellor did a live town hall, and that was the response that he was able to provide yesterday.
Excellent, thank you. Question 2 was around the migrant families, the influx of migrant families to the community, and the shelters that are in our community, and which schools the students will be enrolled at in our district. So we do know that we did get calls from schools where there were lines that were wrapped around the building, right? Because there were so many families that were at the schools to be enrolled. So what we did in response to that was to connect with the Students in Temporary Housing Unit of the Department of Education, and the director of that unit communicated with one of the shelters in the area, and what the families will do is come to the Welcome Center on 9027 Sutphin to be given an enrollment letter to the assigned school. So that way they can look at ATS on a district level, and then be able to say, okay, well, this school has X number of seats for that grade. The other school has X number of seats for that grade based on zone. And that's how students will be assigned to schools across the district, so that there isn't an arbitrary assignment. Families will go directly to the Welcome Center, and they will be assigned schools from there. Question 3 that I have is around parent coordinators in the district. And I'm going to ask our family leadership coordinator, Sonia Rueda, to speak to the schools that may not have parent coordinators and respond to the query. Sonia, are you there?
Yes, I am. Good evening, everyone. It's great to see everyone. The summer just came and went. But I am glad to say that I believe we only have 1 school, and I will confirm that with you. I believe it's PS 174 that we were still waiting, but everyone else, I'm glad to say, has a parent coordinator. And so we'll be meeting. I've been doing individual onboarding for them at the district, in addition to the onboarding process at the school. So I'll be meeting with the other parent coordinators, the recently hired ones, within the next week after they get through the initial back to school. And I will confirm with you on the TIFA and get back to the council and confirm if 174 already has one as well. Oh, and I'm hearing 312 also has a vacancy. So I believe those are the only 2 that are left that we're waiting for.
Thank you, Sonia.
You're welcome.
So I have one more question on my list: Jamaica Children's School and how the Blue Book is being calculated. What I can say around enrollment is that we have an enrollment meeting tomorrow, and we'll be able to discuss the enrollment concerns at JCS, Jamaica Children's School, and also PS 72. Those were the 2 schools that I noted. So we'll be able to give an update following the meeting tomorrow.
Okay, because yeah, that's what I'm saying. There aren't enrollment concerns. They were actually being at capacity, but because of the size of the school, being a new school that had its first graduating class in 2020, they're not at that number. They're building. They were adding classes every year until
adding classes
then,
year to year.
Not allowed to add a pre-K in the previous school year. The other question that so one thing with the migrant question we had about about vaccination, that part was not addressed. And then the other part was what other percentage of principal replacements were taking place in the district.
So as far as vaccinations, I'm going to loop that into the conversation. Oh, Vic, your mic is open. Can the host mute Vic's mic? Thank you. So as it relates to vaccinations, I'm going to make sure that's looped into the conversation with the enrollment office tomorrow. But as we understand it, all students need to be vaccinated to attend New York City public schools.
Yeah, and I'll add to that. They have 10 days. And then with migrant students, they have, because of the situation, up to 30 days. And the chancellor was able to also address that on the town hall yesterday in coherence with law. So students have up until 10 days until they receive that letter from the nurse and the secretary around who cannot come in until vaccinated, and our migrant students up to 30 days.
Thank you, Dr. Van Ness. And the other part of the question around the percentage of new principals in the district. I can't give you the percentage right now. I could do the math real quick, but I can tell you that 174, PS 174 has a new principal, and also MS 358. So those are the two new principals in our district this school year.
Okay, thank you. I'm done.
You're welcome.
Okay, so next we go to our member, Jaylin.
So, hi. Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, my name is Jaylene, and for this meeting, I do not have any new updates from my end. Thank you.
Yeah, next we have our member, Julie Su. You ready to report?
It's not allowing.
I think we hear you from the.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me make you full. Try now.
Hi. Okay. There's an echo, but I think you heard about the parent coordinator at PS 303 that I was helping with interviewing. In terms of air conditioning, I haven't heard any major issues, but my daughter's school, PS 101, also had some down ones, but we do have some replacements, so we're fortunate. But I feel for the schools where there isn't a backup solution. I think there are two issues and concerns that I continue to hear about from parents that I talk to is school safety and class size, and safety from a sense of, the physical door at, again, my daughter's school, being one of those doors that anyone can walk into technically in the morning. Again, knock on wood, thank goodness it's not something, nothing has actually happened. But again, that fear of and concern that we should do something about locking the door a little bit better. So we will talk to our principal about that. And then the class size, I know that again, I can speak about my daughter's school the most, PS 101, the class size is continuing to be just something that parents are concerned about. And that's the only update I have.
So Dr. Hall, on top of what Julie's just said, is there any protocol that schools supposed to follow for in terms of like the entrance security? Like is there kind of thing compliance issue? For example, why is it 1-1, right?
Yeah, I think my question is that something that the school works through with the principal, or is there like on the district-wide level a standard for how the doors, the main entrance should work?
Right.
There's a little area between the main one and the second door And so the idea is, you know, could we work on changing that system where there's a lock on one of the doors? So any thoughts? Anyone have any similar experience?
So I will say that New York City Public Schools are safe havens to the community. So yes, school building front doors are generally unlocked, but all of the other doors in the building are locked and armed.
Yeah.
That's why there's always an agent at that front door. So the school would not be able to lock the front door, to lock a door that would be the only entryway into the building. But we will make sure, and what should happen is that there's an agent at every open door of a school.
And then just to give an update, at this point, the New York City Department of Education is working on doing the keypads for every school, the lock pad. So eventually all schools will be locked. The front doors will be locked. Right now, they're doing the installation. So doors would be unlocked during arrival times and then locked during all other times in which families, visitors would need an appointment. And there'll be a system in which they could press a bell if there's an emergency, and the school safety would have to ask who they are, their credentials, and things of that nature in order to let them into the building. So that is being initiated across the city, but that will take some time to be in all of our schools. But eventually, you know, it was heard that this is what communities want. They want the front doors locked, but there has to be a process to be able to have that implemented in an orderly fashion. And so I know some schools have it, and they're working towards making sure that all schools have it.
Yeah, I think again, it's not necessarily the first door, but the second door. There's a vestibule. So the idea was the first door could be open, but then have a second point of entry next to the agent. That is what you're talking about.
Yes, the idea is that all the doors will be locked. Once entry is done, all doors will be locked. And when entry is happening, doors will be open. When dismissal is happening, and doors will be open, but throughout the day, all doors will be locked, and they would have to use the keypad system, the keypad installation that's happening right now, that system, in order to gain access to the school. Okay. I have a time constraint, so if there are any other questions for me, my executive director is on. I believe he can unmute and mute, but I would like to be able to address any questions that are directed specifically for me before I depart, if there are any.
Do we have anyone from the chat room try to ask a question for Dr. Vaness?
Yes, Adriana wants to ask a question.
Okay, so Adriana, so let's make it your turn to do the report. Just, you know, then you can ask question and do your report at the same time. Yeah.
Thank you, Lou. I don't have an update for this month because Simone and I were just appointed and turned in all of our paperwork. I have a couple of questions for Dr. Blake, and mostly for Dr. Blake. I think he's still here. My first question is with respect to the safety meeting with the NYPD. Will parents or parent leaders or other stakeholders within that realm of the community be invited to these meetings going forward? I know last year there were conversations about meetings like this that were being had at CPAC, at the CPAC level, and we were told that we would be invited at some point in some form or fashion this year. So it was a little disappointing to see that a meeting was held and parents and families and parent leaders were not included or were not invited. And I bring this up because there are many people within our community that view the NYPD as the antithesis to student safety, especially when the NYPD are within our school building. So we don't have to go further into that in this space, but in the future, will parents and parent leaders and other parent stakeholders be invited to those meetings? That's my first question. And my second question is with respect to this looming bus strike. I know that none of us can answer that question. None of us are going to know if a strike is happening until the strike is called, and none of us are strike captains for any of those companies. So none of us are aware of when that's going to happen. I have a list here of 20-ish questions. I'm not going to go through all of them. The question that is most pressing for me at this time, though, is two-parted. One, how are our families within District 28 going to be contacted directly? Because if the strike is called at 6:55 a.m. on Monday morning, that is going to directly affect every single student who has to take a school bus to school or has transit to school that requires them to be bused. And how is it that we are going to get parents and families anything that they need in order to get their child to school that day on strike day one? So how are we getting them a Metro card? I don't see that as being possible necessarily. How are we making sure that they can access their ride sharing so they can be reimbursed? Or are we just going to ask parents to cover the cost and then be reimbursed directly following?
So I can answer.
I'm happy to expand on any of those if needed, but thank you. Yes.
No, I can answer some of those questions. Regarding the strike, schools have been provided Metro cards for if in case the emergency happens that a strike has, schools have Metro cards. So their emergency stash, they're not allowed to be opened unless a strike happens. So that's one. Go ahead.
Quick follow-up, are those the 3-pass Metro cards, 4-pass, or unlimited?
That I have to ask. That I'm not sure, but I do know that there are Metro cards provided if in case that emergency happens, unlimited or so, that I would have to check in on. Ride shares are going to be prioritized for students of special subgroups. So students with disabilities, students in temporary housing. There were 3 designations that our chancellor talked about, but there were students with disabilities, students with temporary housing, and migrant students, right? In which they would be able to access the ride shares through the accounts, the student accounts and family accounts that our schools have. So what is it called? My family account, my school account. They'll be able to access it directly from there. So as long as the parent has an active account, students who are in those particular subgroups are prioritized for ride shares. So that's
the parents and families that already have an existing My School /NICSA can act. Okay, great.
And they can access those shares through those accounts directly. They'll make the request and they will receive no bill. Okay, because those are the priority groups for the ride shares. And to your point, yeah, we're anxiously waiting to hear about the strikes, and hopefully they do not occur. But I know bare minimum, we do have Metro cards at the school levels to make sure that students are able to travel should that happen.
Okay, so next we are go to Quentin Mazzatin. I'm sorry, I forgot your name.
It's common. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
we got time. Well, no, thank you, Natifa and Adriana, for asking questions on my behalf. Your concerns are my concerns. I've been getting a lot of the pending bus strike, and thank you, Josephine, for answering those in depth. And I guess mine were leaning more to Adriana's, as in what's gonna happen after, if it happens next week, then it's a lot of people are just going to be stuck. So you did answer those questions as best you can. So we just hopefully it doesn't happen, but we'll just do our best. And you did answer the micro questions. One question I had, if you can answer this, whoever can, the curriculum that Banks, our chancellor, has been pushing is to get everybody to enhance their reading. And that's been the goal. We're going to get that done. I just want to know, how is that new curriculum, that HMH curriculum, how is it being implemented? Because I keep hearing about it, it's been spoken to, but how's it being implemented for all students? So I see that a lot of schools are implementing it this year for the first time, but especially for D75 and 811Q, how is that being implemented and used within the IEP to still meet the goals?
So I'm going to speak to that because HMH's program is a K-8 program for literacy. And what we did, we began last May, in fact, with the rollout of the implementation. Although District 28 is a phase 2 district, we got a head start on this work by collaborating with principals, with teachers, and we actually had our inaugural session with HMH at the UFT office. Thank you, Bruce. He helped us to host that event that allowed principals and teachers and district leaders to come together with HMH representatives and a literacy specialist from the central office to be able to collaborate to discuss the rollout and to plan for the rollout. So what's happening now is that we are in communication with HMH representatives directly. We actually had a meeting this week with them, and also at the school level, schools are partnering with HMH and having consultants come into the building to be able to support their teachers so that school-specific needs can be met. So it's happening at the district level, it's happening on a collaborative level across the district, and then at the specific school level, schools are partnering with HMH so that their consultants can come in to address class-specific needs, student-specific needs. So you talked about students with IEPs, and then it makes me also think about English language learners and how we ensure that where there are gaps in the curriculum, because we know every curriculum will have gaps, it's never a catch-all, right? So wherever those gaps are, the supplemental resources that are needed to address those gaps are, one, uncovered, and then two, the resources that are needed to address those gaps are provided. So again, just in a nutshell, at the district level, we're collaborating across the district, and then at the school specific level, the schools have consultants that are in to help them support, not just with HMH, but making sure the supplementary resources are present so that students' needs can be met.
Okay, so just to clear that up, it's being implemented as we speak, and we're kind of just testing it out, and we're going to see how it goes.
No, we're not testing it out. It's being implemented at the school level. We're collaborating, the district and the school, right? So district leadership, teachers, principals are collaborating on the implementation, right? And that started back in May. At the school level, schools have consulted with HMH, and representatives are coming in to ensure that school-specific needs are met and class-specific needs are met. Right? And we're even drilling down even further to the subgroups, because as you mentioned, students with IEPs may need something a little different than a student that's an English language learner, right? So even at those levels, those subgroups, we're ensuring that subgroup specific needs are being met. Because the first thing we have to do is uncover where are the gaps, right? So that we can figure out what supplemental resources will be used to meet student needs where they are.
Okay.
Tell me what's unclear, because I want to make sure.
No. Well, I want to know more about the IEP. So the IEP is very direct with the goals for each student. They're all separate. And I know we can request multiple IEPs a year, but it's usually the one that the kids started the school with that they have to continue with until they're reevaluated during the school year. So now that we implemented a new curriculum with the same goals, like, have we already mapped out and tested if the same goals are able to be met with this new curriculum? Is it going to enhance the goals? Are we changing the goals? Or are we kind of just like...
So the goals are the goals, regardless of what program is being used, regardless of what curriculum is being used, the goals match the student needs, right? So when we talk about the student goals, we're not even thinking about what curriculum the school is using. Any curriculum, any resource that's needed to meet those students' goals will be used, will be implemented, right? So we don't need to we're not going to compare student goals to programs. The goals are what they are, right? Based on the student needs.
Okay. So we could just follow up in like 6 months and see if it's working or not based on how it's being
So students receive progress reports. Students with IEPs receive progress reports. So what I would recommend to anyone on the call whose child has an IEP to communicate, one, with their child's teacher, their special education teacher, to communicate with the IEP teacher, to discuss their child's goals and ask those questions, because those are very student-specific questions around, okay, my student named Chanel Hall has an IEP, and I want to know how you're using HMH to address the student-specific needs. Because again, every student's goals will be different, and the parent rightfully would want to know how are my students' specific needs are being met using HMH or any other curricular resource in the school.
I agree. Well, no, thank you, Chanel. That was my last concern that's been being brought up that I've been hearing.
Okay.
I appreciate your response.
Thank you. Thank you, Quentin.
Vic, do you want to answer Adriana's question on the safety issue? I think you typed something in the chat. You know, you can speak it now. Yeah.
Hi, sorry. Yeah, I was just sharing that I attended that meeting with Dr. Blake, and that was something we brought up to Chief Williams, that this needs to be shared with the community in an open forum, and he agreed. But in terms of a specific date, we didn't get that. I will follow up tomorrow with his office and see if I can get specific concrete dates. It was also suggested that maybe the NYPD would go into the schools as invite as guests at the PTA meetings, and share what their plans are around school safety, especially in the perimeters of the school, in the mornings and at dismissal, arrivals and dismissal. And that was also something that they said that they would do. But as far as when that will be in effect, I don't know, but I will find out tomorrow and get that information to Adriana and the CEC.
Okay, so next we go to our member Simone Dunbach for report.
Good evening. I don't have anything to report. This is my first meeting as the borough appointee. I'm very happy to be here. I would like to reconfirm that I'm here to serve the entire district, all families and all children of District 28. And excuse me. I would also like to give a shout out to our only parent who is here in person, Venus Ketchum. Without Venus, I wouldn't be here. So I'm very happy to have you here. And I would also like to give a shout out to Joanne Cummings, who is the IEP rep from District 29. She has done wonderful workshops for our own district in cooperation with District 29 about IEP processes, everything you need to know. I do hope that we can restart the cooperation because a lot of parents are really happy about her knowledge and experience. And so Joanne, I'm gonna be connecting with you. Otherwise, I have been busy with managing the chat. And there was one question that was brought up from a parent asking about the connection between Moms for Liberties, a chapter that has been founded in Queens, that has been congratulating Place. There have been quite a few candidates on our council who have been endorsed by Place, and the question was, I believe, let me go up. How if there's are there any thoughts, responses, or considerations being made regarding the emergence of Moms of Liberty? And if you are aware of it, will you reject the rhetoric of an extremist group? So I'm posing that question to my fellow council members. I surely have not been endorsed.
I think I was one of those names on the list, but I don't know how I ended up on that list. So I have no comment on what that group stands for. I visited the website and there was nothing that I could find that supported any kind of extreme views. So I'm genuinely curious and concerned that an organization had my name on their endorsement list. They don't know me, I don't know them, and I haven't heard anything other than that article. I know what article you're talking about. I read it. It's very concerning.
I can speak a little bit more because let me put it this way, right? So I'm probably the only one on that list have some conversation with some people on that organization, okay? Now, I do not want to talk too much about it because it's purely ideological. You can talk, like this dream group, this group, and that group. We are elected by parents. We are serving our parents, and every one of us, come here with genuine. You can see today, every people so involved and as a question. That all matters. It doesn't really matter, like, oh, there's an organization. They want to do something, which I don't know. I mean, actually, for place, I know quite a few people in place, and I think in principle, I agree with, their goal with, they want to promote, like accelerated, learning and stuff that I agree with. But other than that, I know there's, like people talking about, certain member in the group have certain views. Why do I care? Why do you care, right? I mean, what we care is who you elect to the council. Do they represent, parents' interest? Do they bring parents' concern to the council? I think that's enough. That's enough I've said, right? So again, I do want to talk about specific issues we are concerned, we interested in. I do not want to talk about ideological, high-level stuff, labeling, whatever. So that's what my answer to it.
I'm also going to chime in. I did see my name on places endorsement lists. And just as is said, we, in the same way that we started the meeting speaking about a district that is not only the north side, where I live in the south. Okay, we're also going to have a difference of opinions on lots of on views of everything. And I do not believe in censorship unless there is a particular reason. And I think it is a reach to identify one group with which, based on, I cannot speak to how they were created or so forth, but I've known many people who have been constant supporters of the council, of the work, of things within the community that are also identified with place. One of the questions that was brought up at the beginning was she's no longer on the council, but she was in 27, and then our high school rep. She was I think one of the founding members. What's her name? Venus, Oh my God, why am I forgetting? Why is her name going off of my head? Your friend from 27. She was a CCHS. She was on CC. Alyssa. And there's lots of people. Jean Han asked some great questions within our meetings and so forth. I don't have to identify or agree with the placement of everyone on every issue. I don't always agree with Lou. I don't always agree with Adrienne. I don't always agree with Simone. I don't always agree with Quentin. I don't always agree with anyone. But I think we are going down the wrong track if we choose to use this platform that is for our entire district to try to say we should censor this group and not that group. We've had some contentious meetings that became not about our children in our district because of these ideological views. We're not voting for elections here. I think the presidential election is what, next year? But right now, I'm concerned about all our kids having a parent coordinator for a part. I'm concerned about families not being affected because of these things. And some of these are issues that come up from place, that come up from Action for Equity, that come up from lots of other groups that show up in here. And I think that, these are some of the times that we need to be able to, I don't think that there's any value to creating a brownie point of, well, I was not endorsed by this group, but I was not endorsed by this group, or this person was or wasn't. It was pointed out to me that I'm on a list. Okay, and this is where sometimes those kind of things come out. If someone chooses to say that I like what you do, and I support you, I can't tell them yes or no. I'm not going to choose to tell them yes or no. And I don't think it is our place within this council that we say we're representing all. One of the questions, and it goes back to when we've hired members, one of the questions that we have consistently tried to ask is, okay, how would you support a member who you may not ideologically identify with? Are we saying that if we're saying that Moms for Liberty or whatever group has families in here, are we saying that their children do not deserve our support? They have a voice. We don't have to agree with it. And this is why the group has to be consensus-based. This is why there's a majority that is needed for all sorts of votes. So I think it is in our best interest to focus on what we're here for and leave some of the other things outside of this discussion. You can have your personal views, but it should not become the subject of the conversation. Thank you.
No one minds, I'll go next. I think that the question was it's not a question, and Annie, please correct me if I am wrong here. This is not necessarily a question of ideology, and it's also not necessarily a question of rhetoric in this space. It is a question of, and it's a legitimate question of whether or not the people who have been elected to this position as a CEC member are willing to reject rhetoric that comes from an extremist group. Now, to be clear, it's my understanding of the question is the Moms of Liberty rhetoric, right? That is in the conversation that we're having in our district vis-a-vis Place NYC. So in relation to Place, not necessarily that, you know, Place is having this hateful rhetoric and we need to go against it. No, they're kind of championing Moms of Liberty hateful rhetoric. So that, I think that the question is whether or not these elected members on this council, so outside of Simone and I, because we're appointed members, but if the elected members, and not all of you are on the Place list, we know that. And we also know that the Place list had folks on it who had never heard of Place, folks on it who were Place adjacent, not just in our district, but across the city, right? So in those cases, no one's holding folks responsible for being on a list that they were unaware of or being endorsed by a group that they had no idea existed. I think the question again is, are we willing as individual members of the CEC for District 28 and as a district CEC entirely to rhetoric that is dangerous or hateful, etc. So I will answer for myself that the answer is yes. I am absolutely willing to reject that rhetoric. And I think it is important to have these discussions in a limited, in the sense of we don't need to go on and on, right? We don't need to continuously drudge up things that have, you know, been discussed already. But this rhetoric, these conversations that are uncomfortable for people to have in public spaces directly affect our children. They may not directly affect all of our children, but if we're here for all of them, we need to discuss and be aware of the things that affect all of them. And I think hateful rhetoric about public schools affects public school children. So yeah, Annie, I am with you. I am very much willing to reject any hateful or extremist rhetoric.
Okay, so I misinterpreted the question you're saying. So I'm responding to the direct question. Am I willing to reject hateful rhetoric that comes into the district, regardless of the source? I don't care which part it's coming from. Yes, I would reject hateful rhetoric on a specific topic. I am not going to reject a group. I am not going to reject a person. I address parts because frankly, I do find the directed part is a little bit of hateful rhetoric, and I reject it from the left, I reject it from the right, I reject it from the middle. I reject all hateful rhetoric, and I address topics.
Okay, I think that's enough. Again, I want to stress this. We want to talk about things specifically, right? I do not want to drive this council into a ideological debate or anything. We're not elected to do this. This is not the place. We are talking about air condition. We are talking about school safety. We are talking about specific issues that concern our children. If there are any those specific issues, we can continue to talk, but not on the high level ideological, who knows what it is. And we will move on to, public comment. Simon, can you drive this?
Yes, I would just like to quickly respond that this was a public comment so yes, it was a public comment. That's why we were asked to respond, and that's it. Okay. But now I would like to post the speaker list again. And the first one would be Venus.
Okay, can you hear me now? Good evening. I cannot hear myself. Okay. All right. No, can you hear me now? Oh, good. I can hear myself. Perfect. Welcome back to the 2023-2024 school year. I'm Venus Ketchum, a community education activist, a community and parent leader in School District 28 and across the city. And I always want to remember to start now with saying that I speak so that other parents, families, and communities can speak. I'm not speaking to call people out. I'm not speaking. I can do that in the chat, right? I could ask my questions in the chat. I want our regular, average, everyday parent to, number one, attend these meetings in person and on Zoom. I'm looking in the chat, I'm looking on the attendance list, and it's our regulars. It's all of us. It's not parents from schools. It's not parents from District 75 programs in our district with questions and concerns. It's just a group of educated parents who are arguing back and forth, to put it quickly, right? But we want to make sure that we're putting the alarm out and the word out to parents and families about how important these meetings are, so we can specifically address their issues and concerns. Like Lou spoke about, air conditioners, that's not a topic of interest of mine. Mine is focused on academics and education, right? When is the data coming out? How long is the DOE when are they gonna release it, right? When is it gonna become unembargoed so that we can really dig deep into how our schools are doing and what resources and supports our school needs, and empowering parents like Quentin was talking about with the HMH for students with disabilities and IEPs, right? Having that be crystal clear to parents that at our school, at our site, we're using HMH and whatever they're using, and how their kid is going to be evaluated in the beginning, middle, and end, and what's their track record of success and growth for their school and their students, right? Understanding class size, understanding tracking, understanding the discrepancies in the quality and the performance of the students on the north side and the south side of our district, and why is the gap widening? Is the gap widening? With specifics. So something I want to speak to all leaders is that we're discussing specific schools, right? No longer are we talking about MS-72 because we got to scare success away. But the reality is, I want to know, is MS-72 still the lowest performing middle school in our district, right? And what are we doing about academic success? That's why families come to school, is for their children to learn. And our schools need to do a great job of being crystal clear so that our families know how they can hold schools accountable and what they can expect. And we also have to discuss the loss of staff and why that's happening, and all of the shifts in our district with specifics. Why does MS 358 now have a new principal? What happened to Principal Hall? So that we can avoid pitfalls in the future, and we could ensure that all of our schools are thriving. with all this political mumbo jumbo, you gotta be careful because the Queensborough president put two very political figures. You know, I love me some Simone, but we have to be careful of what backlash and what whiplash is gonna come with having Adriana and Simone in the Queensborough president's seat, and make sure that we're discussing schools at every turn so that let's forget all the rhetoric. Let's talk about academics and arithmetics, right? Not rhetoric. We need to discuss specific schools, your liaison schools, what's happening there, what SLTs are you attending, what questions are you asking, what water fountains are broken, what lunches are not being delivered, these things, what schools have D75 programs in it? I know 140 has a new one, but what about throughout the district? I know PS48 has one, and I know my time is up, but let's get down to business of improving and keeping up with our New York City's public schools. Thank you. Who's Big Mad? Who they saying is Big Mad in the chat? Because it ain't me. This is me.
Number 2 is Vanessa Sparks. Vanessa Sparks. Oh yeah, okay. I see her.
Oh. Hello, myself. Good evening and welcome back. Vanessa Sparks, representing Community Board 12 Education Committee. I bring greetings on behalf of the Chair of Community Board 12, the Reverend Carlene Thorbs, and the Education Chairperson, Latoya Legrand, who send their apologies because it is their executive board meeting this evening. Again, Community Board 12, representing the communities of Jamaica, South Jamaica, Hollis, Addersley Park, and St. Albans. District 28 is in the catchment area of the Jamaica and South Jamaica portions of Community Board 12. I'm going to say this on behalf of our Education Committee. We hope that this year we can continue to build upon the relationship that was burgeoning last year between the superintendent, members of the CEC, and our community board. Community Board 12 is one of the most active community boards in the city, definitely in the borough. We have a very, very robust education committee. So I'm going to extend this offer. I'm going to ask and send an invitation to the new superintendent to attend our next community board meeting, which I believe will be the third Wednesday of the month, to introduce themselves and to talk a little bit about the schools, District 28 as a whole, specifically the schools within Community Board 12 that are in District 28, which all happen to be in the southern end of the district. Venus, you couldn't have said it any better. What we want to hear about is what's going on in our schools. Parents, the rank and file parents don't come to CEC meetings, but you can rest assured they do come and contact the community board regarding a variety of issues related at their school. I would like to see a better relationship between the CEC and the community board. And I do know that our chairperson has said that this year she is going to hold a forum with all of the principals in Community Board 12 and our community board, so we can develop a relationship. There should be no reason why there's a new principal at PS 354 and Community Board 12 does not know about it, since 354 sits in Community Board 12. So with that, I look forward to this year, and I wish all of you a very, very productive year. I just want to say a shout out to Natifa, great work, Ms. Rueda, and some of the other folks that worked really hard with the community last year regarding the MS-72 building, the challenge that at MS-72. Thank you for being so supportive of our community.
The next speaker is Bruce Zihar. Can you unmute him?
Good evening, everyone. So I just would like to welcome staff and students back to school and wish everyone a great 2023-2024 school year. And the UFT is certainly looking forward to working with the district office, the CEC, Community Board 12, and everyone who's here. The senator's office, I see, is here. Adrian Adams' office has a representative here. When we work together, that's how we make good things happen. So let's continue doing that. And have a good night.
Thank you. The next speaker is Ms. Lynette Shelburne Barfield. Sorry.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I apologize for not showing my face, as you all know, and we all can agree it has to have been a very long day, being the first day of school. Even with that, I would say I'm kind of surprised the meeting is happening because it makes for a very long evening for families and parents. And certainly we want to encourage our parents to be on this line. But the first day of school, I would imagine is a challenge because it was a long day for Speaker Adams' office. You know, with school visits as early as 8, 7:30 or so in the morning in terms of travel time. But nevertheless, I want to say happy back to school. And certainly on behalf of Speaker Adrian Adams, New York City Council Speaker Adrian Adams, we wish for a great school year and a great CEC year, and certainly encouraging you all to reach out to the office along the school year, you know, with events you want us to support. And if you need information, we are on with you all as a part of, as it was just spoken, the togetherness, the community collaboration, the community unity to make certain that the school community, with the greatest, one great emphasis, not the greatest, but one great emphasis is on the families and children that we all serve. And certainly Speaker stands firm with the well-being of the educators that care and teach our students and support our families. With that being said, before I go any further, I just want to say the question was asking, even myself being on these meetings, and having been on for a long time, is it possible that you can go back to revisiting what is the everyday business of the CECs and being able to make that clear for your attendees on these meetings, so that we are careful to we are careful to deliver such. So what is the everyday business of the CECs? Let's make sure that's clear for all of us that are on these meetings, and make for a great year in that. So with that, I wanted to say, if you would share, it's not a lot of parents on, I don't think, but I did send these flyers to by email, but I want you all to encourage your families to bring their teens out this weekend to Rochdale Village, Red Brick area for a back to
30
school
seconds.
bash. How
30
much?
seconds.
Oh,
30.
30 seconds. So we have two events, one on Saturday and one on Sunday, back to school events with lots of resources. And then two senior events. September is Senior Appreciation Month in Southeast Queens for our grandma and our neighbors. Please make certain that they get the flyers, that they can be in attendance of these free events and free giveaways. I sent them out to your office. Please share them with your family. Thank you for the time you allowed me, and have a great year.
Thank you. The next speaker is Richard Connelly. Is he still here? Okay, then we can wait, and then the next one would be our wonderful Sonia Rueda.
Good evening. So just on the topic of parent leadership and parent voice, I'm proud to say that we offered 5 sessions in August for parent leaders, 2 of them in Spanish, and they were very, very well attended. And I think it's important because we want parents to come. We want parents to be involved, but oftentimes parents don't even understand the process. They don't understand the convoluted regulations, policies. And so my commitment is to make sure that parents understand, right, that they see how this is connected to them, because the reality is life happens, and if they don't see the value for themselves, they're not going to attend. They're not going to get involved, or the ones that do have no clue how to start. So we started this week, and this is the first time in 20 years that I'll be offering all the sessions before the first week of October. So that'll be about 16 sessions. The next one will be on September 11th and 12th, and I can share the calendar with you on the council on school leadership team. These are open meetings. This is for everyone. I encourage CEC members. You're sitting at SLTs and you want to know. And so I encourage everyone to attend all the sessions, but it's definitely a strong component for parents to know, to have the knowledge so that they sit at the table and understand what's happening. So I invite all parents, parent coordinators, the community at large to attend these sessions. And we have fun in the process. So thank you.
Your co-host now, you want to. So this is conclude our today's agenda. I think we can make what about 5 minutes or 10 minutes? You think 10? Yeah, motion to adjourn the calendar meeting. Second. So no session. We adjourn the meeting. We can take see 5 minutes. 10. 8:30, 7 minutes. Okay, 7 minutes break, and we come back 8:30. We start our business meeting. Our business meeting, all parents are welcome to, listen to, but you cannot speak. Okay, so that's it. Thank you. Thank everybody for joining. Yeah, so you can do that, right? Or yeah. So we unmute everyone. So if you want to, chat a little bit, welcome.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Hello, Sonia. This is Vanessa.
Hello, Miss Sparks.
How are you? Thank you for all that you do, Miss Rueda.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's always my pleasure. I'm committed to this district and to families at large. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Have
It's
a
great
good night,
to see everyone
everyone
this evening. Happy 23-24. Have a wonderful evening.
Hey, Simon. Sorry. Okay.
Present.
He's gonna join us when he gets.
Wait, did I?
No, just click on the back. Just click on the back.
Okay. Okay, so let's start our business meeting right now. The meeting call in order now. On our agenda today, right? The roll call. So you know, recording secretary, please do a roll call.
President Vijay Ram Jatin, absent. First Vice President Luzelle.
Here.
Second Vice President Nurul Swapna.
Here.
Recording Secretary Natifa Lewis here. Treasurer Yutao Zheng. Cheng, sorry.
Present.
Member Jalen.
Here.
Member Julissa.
Here.
Member Quentin Meston.
Here.
Member Christine Sacretano. Absent. Member Simone Donda.
Present.
Member Adriana Alicia.
Present.
Okay, so let me see if the candidate. I want to do it. You know, let's say if Garmasi is ready, we can do that first. So you know, all the other agenda. You know, if we don't have time, we don't have to do it today. Because we have to wrap up 9:30 or 9:45. 9:45, right? So we want to be quick, and the interview probably going to take a while. So let's do this if possible. Can you make Mr. Kayanaram the co-host?
Mr. Gurumurthy, are you able to turn on your, okay, there you go.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know you had called me on. Okay. Who is talking? I didn't. I'm sorry. Okay. Anyway, I'm here.
No, I was just making sure that you were able to unmute and yes, you were able to turn on your camera.
Yeah. I'm here. I'm all set.
Hi. Can you do a quick introduction to yourself first to the council?
Oh, sure. So my name is Gurumurthy Kalyanaram, long Asian, South Asian Indian name. I live here in Forest Hills. I have twin girls who are 7.5 years old. They go to school here at PS303. They are in grade 2. I am myself an educator. I have my first degree, electrical engineering from India. Then I have an MBA. And I have a doctoral degree in management science and industrial organization economics from MIT. I've been teaching all my life, Texas, New York, Japan, India. I've done a lot of work in East Europe, Russia, Armenia. And now, since the birth of our kids very late in our lives, I'm very old. I've restructured my life. I teach part-time here in New York at CUNY, in Fordham, and occasionally NYU. I edit scholarly journals, and I do some consulting. I'm an educational counselor to MIT. I interview young men and women that apply to MIT and make recommendations to the admissions committee. I have interviewed 50 plus applicants each of last 3 years. I'm the vice chair for the Queens area for MIT. And my wife is here. She is doctoral alumnus of in biochemistry, and she's a vice president in Bayer, the German company, the aspirin company. I mean, I'm of course, I spent all my life in education. I worked a lot in education, and right now I'm working with an MIT professor, Rob Freund, on mentoring and counseling meritorious and needy high school students, how to apply to brand name universities in US and the top 10, 20, 30. So we are doing that. We started that initiative. We reached out to some schools and individuals globally, and we'll be doing it. I can say more about myself, I think.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. I mean, first of all, I want to thank you to apply for this position. This is not a paid position. We're all volunteers here. We spend time. You know, it's a duty. It's obligation we want to do for our children. So this is really appreciate. You know, you want to join us for this journey. We have
I must tell you, I'm twice rejected applicant. I didn't win the election. I think Utah Chang won the elections. I mean, and then I did apply to Richard Donovan. Obviously, there are two people who he appointed. So obviously, I got nice note from his office. So here I am, the third attempt.
Yeah, so that we appreciate that you are committed, to this effort. We have prepared a few questions. We basically this question we asked for in the past for candidates. So Nativa, can you read your question first?
So you addressed a little bit in your background, but District 28 is a very diverse district in terms of socioeconomic status, political views, ethnicity, school scores, programming, and more.
Yeah.
If selected as a council member, how do you aim to provide broad-based support to elevate the concerns of all of our families, even when they do not mirror your own? Do you want me to repeat?
No, I'm okay. Well, I mean, so much of these is, especially diversity. There's a lot of talk of diversity. It's holy grail for some people, and for others, it's an anathema. Depends on how you view it, the optics and lens. But diversity is a lot of things. It is, of course, it's really experience of life, and that experience comes from a variety of inputs. The kind of household you are, the kind of nationality, the race, the income, education, all kinds of things. And I have great empathy and understanding for this. I always ask when I interview kids that apply to MIT, what have you done in terms of in spite of? So the question for us is, with our kids, young men and women, with all of us individuals, is what have we done with what we have? And those that have less, obviously, information, resources, they are at disadvantage. But have they accomplished much more than? My kids are very blessed, but compared to a lot of others. So diversity is a portfolio of experiences beyond any particular an element of identity. And, I'm a statistician. I look at diversity in this manner. If you're a good statistician, there may be some. Suppose I find the average of some metric to be 4. If all the inputs that contribute to 4 were 4, 4, 4, 4, that's not a good average statistically. You need variance. You had a 3, you had a 4, you had a 5. That 4 is more robust than all the cloning 4. So when you have diversity, which is really heterogeneity in statistics, you get better outcomes, even in sheer dry empirical statistical outcomes. this is even more acute and poignant in human experiences. You know, I always cite, and we always cite, and all of you are Americans, and I was not born here. You know, Abraham Lincoln's cabinet is an exemplar of diversity. And those of us who know that his cabinet, when they met, they could agree, and they could really came to fisticuffs and could knock each other out. Out of that rivalry, Abraham Lincoln was able to listen to all the inputs, go back and quietly reflect, and come out with probably, you know, very remarkable human decisions. So there's a lot of value for diversity. It has been demonstrated scientifically, no doubt about it. Outcomes are better. But diversity is a set of experiences, full range of experiences, which come from variety of inputs and elements. And our duty, a sacred obligation of all of us, and I says, I'm very blessed. You know, I'm a PhD, my wife is a PhD. When my kids apply to brand name schools, they rightly going to ask, what have you done in spite of? I mean, you know, and that's a tough hurdle for them. And that's a right question to ask. It's a sacred obligation, all of us, to lift those that need to be lifted. Because when you lift one kid, you not only lift that family, but that entire neighborhood and community, and again, and it's shared prosperity. This country, you know, there are a lot of countries, pockets of prosperity. This is unique country and unique in terms of shared prosperity and mobility, and that comes from education. 32% of our young men and women have a undergraduate degree. That's small, only 1/3. That's much higher than in any part of the world. Anyway, I've spoken long.
Okay, thank you. The room?
So I have one more. Or are you going
Hi, so how would you use your professional and experience background to further consensus-based parent initiative on the council?
I don't know who's asking. I can't. Maybe it's in the gallery. Someone.
I'm sorry. I can repeat it for you.
It's echoing.
Okay, so let me speak from there.
Mute it. Okay. How would you use your professional and experienced background to further consensus-based parent initiatives on the council?
So I will bring data. I'll bring empiricism. I'll bring results to the conversation. I'll bring anecdotes. As I said, you know, in diversity, I teach strategy. I teach diversity as an input, and I talk about Abraham Lincoln. But that is somewhat fragmented evidence. I believe in evidence-based conversation, and I'll bring to all the conversations that you have, whatever be the topic, including the concept, the various elements of it. What are the research insights? What are the empirical insights? And how they can be better informed, better refined, justified. So I'll provide you that rational argument for the conversation, for the discussion, apart from adding my own, you know, perspective, optics, opinions. And I'm trained to do that. I mean, that's what I do for a living as a researcher, as a social scientist, and that's what I bring to the conversation, to your conversation, our conversation.
Yeah.
Okay. Will you be still back here?
Lou, mute you. Use. Yeah. Mute. Your microphone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. It's still. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So, will you be able to give an example of a time or an event where the consensus was required and consensus was required, but the viewpoint of the majority was different than yours. What steps would you personally take to help advance the discussion to a unified resolution?
Hold on, wait. You're muted.
Yeah. I need to unmute. I just realized. So, you know, most of the conversations on most occasions, including concept and others, really become personalized or become get caught up in some kind of infinite loop because we don't inform them with necessarily always with good algorithms, good research insights, both the pros and cons. I've done a lot. As I told you, I'm now doing an initiative with a school district, schools in Dallas and in India, mentoring kids applying to brand name schools, particularly in light of the, and I'll be helping MIT itself identifying bright minority kids, given the Supreme Court's recent decision that race cannot be included. But I've kind of participated in these. I've been the president of the MIT South Asian Alumni Association. I've been the president of the MIT clubs here and elsewhere. I've done a lot of organizational work in the sense leading, and there are always different opinions. The best in these things is being an exemplar. And, we know people who succeed in public life and in public debate, or people who bring integrity of opinion and integrity of the thought and being an exemplar. That's what I'll do. I'll be coherent, I'll be consistent, I'll be evidence-based, and hopefully that will, if not immediately, over a time period, it's sometimes a journey, a longitudinal affair, that we will bring people on board. Not all the people all the time, but enough people to build a critical mass to go to the next stage. We also have to remember that we human beings are very risk-averse. We humans are built that way, and for good reason. And therefore, we are status quoists. We find it difficult to change our opinions, our own opinions, and therefore it's difficult to change other people's opinions. Therefore, you have to be an exemplar. You have to be empathetic, and you have to have the patience to be an incrementalist, because life is a series of incrementalism that accumulates to something very material. So I'm a great believer in that.
Okay, thank you, Lou.
Yeah, so let me see if I. Okay, so the next question is this. What is your suggestion on the diversity plan for District 28?
I didn't hear you. What's the?
I'm sorry? I can just read it, and like. Okay, so what is your suggestion on the diversity plan for District 28?
Look,
please try to be specific.
Right.
Talk about real actionable ideas such as busing, zone removal, special programs, etc., that you think are feasible for our district. Thank you.
Sure. So, Lou, the bottom line is it's an empirical observation that we need to recognize that District 28 has a dual life. those that are those kids that are in very happy ecology and resourced ecology, and those kids that are not in happy resourced ecology. That's a fact of life. That's an empirical observation. We need to first recognize that, and sometimes we don't recognize that. The second principle that we need to recognize is in shared prosperity, in rising tide, we all rise as a district, as a community. That's important. Now, what we could do, one of the things that we could do is start serious mentoring of the kids. We should get educators pro bono to work, mentoring kids, giving time to them. I'm not talking about tutors. I'm talking about more inspirational mentoring. I'll be happy to do that. And the kids that are less resourced, that need attention, we need to give time. And those of us, parents and citizens, who are better resourced should volunteer beyond this education council. We would even be doing better if we create, even in this education council, an outfit for mentoring. I mean, mentoring doesn't mean you have to teach the Go math, which hopefully the teachers, it's beyond that in terms of value of education, the value, the inspiration, the discipline, and the conversation about it. I think we could do that. Apart from other things, there are a lot of decisions. You could bus people, not bus people. There are a lot of debates about it. You have resource constraints and all that. But one of the things that we should think about is giving our time and cognition to those that need it and those that deserve it. And several of us can do it. And I'd be happy to do that. There are other solutions. I don't know the answers to them because I don't know the resource constraints, and I know what I know from the National Public Radio and other debates, but I don't know the numbers, and it'll be somewhat presumptuous for me to be prescriptive without knowing. But we recognize the broad principles that we should do something with a sincerity and authenticity that we can bring to it, consistent with the resources that we have.
Adriana, can you answer the last question?
Yes, thank you. And thank you for being here tonight. I have one question. It's two parts. Can you please describe the parent leadership or parent advocacy meetings that you attend and give us a rough idea of how many times you've attended those? And in addition to that, can you let us know what your role in those meetings has been? Is it just as an attendee? Are you an SLT member, etc.?
No, I'm not an SLT member, but I've attended many meetings, these kinds of meetings, and in school, I take an interest. I haven't been in any elected or appointed position here in this. I've done a lot of those, I told you, at the college level, university level, including serving as MIT's educational counselor, other places. I'm a great believer in democratization of quality education globally, and I work towards that. But I haven't particularly served in this area in New York City. I've served on the Literacy Volunteers America on the board, but particularly here. My wife is now serving on the school leadership team here for the school where our kids go to school. But I haven't personally been, but I know these issues well, and I bring passion, and I bring a sense of objectivity, a certain amount of detachment and removedness from all of it, even as I bring a sense of intimacy and understanding to the issues. I mean, look, this is very important for me, school education, and for me, my kids' education, because it's a simple fact of life that serious research, and it is true, it's true for all of us, this is not, that the most impactful in a human being's life is the 3rd to 5th grade. Really, having good teachers, good mentors, good education. And that, people have studied, Raj Chetty and others, Harvard have studied, or longitudinal study. You go back and look at people who had good teachers, good educational ecology, however you want to define it, they do so much better in terms of productivity and prosperity 20, 30, 40 years back ahead. More important than university, college educations, these years I would say from 7 to 11 or 12 are important. I built a model to empower teachers, like the Khan Academy. You probably know I'm a big participant of Khan Academy, but how to continuously enrich teachers. I built a model and shared with others, but I haven't served specifically in any leadership position here. That's why I applied. I applied because my wife said, why don't you do it? You like doing this? Then I applied. I found 50 others, applied, and I did one of these in this thing. I was, holy cow, I had no chance. So, well, I didn't have a chance. So here I'm, my third attempt.
Okay, thank you very much. Those are great answers. I think, you know, we can see your the devotion to this you know, cause. We were gonna, you know, have a what do you call it? A breakout room. No, exactly. Yeah, we have a motion. Huh? Yeah, we're gonna make a motion into executive option section. Sorry. So we're gonna create a breakout room. Only one person need to be in the breakout. That's Adriana, because she's on Ward 2, and the rest of in the room we're gonna discuss. And this is not to the public, so we're gonna mute the Zoom, so nobody gonna hear us. So we're gonna, you know, just talk between us and to your candidacy. Thank you very much.
So should I leave?
No.
No.
Oh, okay. I'll continue to be here. Mute myself.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. Thank you.
Can I just add something really quick? The reason that they is our last member Mohammed couldn't make in the in-person meetings. So this, but according to our bylaws, every member should attend the meetings in person unless there's some extraordinary reason. So is that the issue for you?
Oh, that's what do you say I should do?
Is that the problem for you?
No. What is my role now? Should I leave or should I mute myself and mute audio?
You can just wait.
Yeah, you can
We're
wait
gonna come
here.
back.
You can wait here. The
Oh,
question is,
I'll mute myself and wait here.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
my question is just if you are selected, you need to attend those meetings in person. Is that a problem or difficulty for you?
No. I mean, you meet somewhere here in Jamaica. In fact, I was there this afternoon teaching at York, and I asked your president, should I come in person? He said Zoom is plenty. The answer is I can do it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
I just mute myself and wait here. Thank you.
I make a motion to move into executive session. So is someone who second?
Second.
Second. All right, we are.
Let me see, we're open.
Julie, come back.
All right.
Okay, so we have a, in breakout room, we have a, discussion of the candidacy of, hopefully I don't butcher your name again, but, Guru Mukhi.
I think you can call me GK. If you don't like that, you can call me His Excellency. No, just kidding.
Okay.
My students call me GK, my wife, my kids, everyone. It's a long Asian Indian name. GK is plenty.
Okay, 3K it is. So I move the motion to vote for your candidacy. And Latifa, can you do a roll call?
Okay. Okay, in the absence of the president, I'm going to call you last as the if needed. Second Vice President Narun Swapna.
I vote yes.
Recording Secretary Natifa Lewis, yes. Treasurer Utah Chang.
I vote yes.
Member Jalen.
Yes.
Member Julissa.
Yes.
Member Quentin Messeton.
Yes.
Member Christine Sacrosanto, absent. Member Simone Damba.
Yes.
Member Adriana Alicia.
Yes.
Member President Vijay Ramjatan, absent. First Vice President Luzal.
Yes.
Okay, so unanimous from the members present. There were 9 yes votes. No abstentions, 2 absent. Okay, so congratulations, GK. You are the newest member of the CC pending your completion of your oath of office and communication.
I'm an inspiration. You can't afford to quit. Try once, lose it. Try twice, lose it. Better than me was Francis Drake. He tried, I think, 7 voyages or something. All of them failed. The 8th was a fabulous voyage. It made him famous and wealthy. I'm doing slightly better than Francis Drake, but thank you all.
Thank you. Hopefully, we're gonna see you next meeting, right?
Facebook follow-up.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. So we're gonna turn back to the rest of our agenda so we can get out of here before they kick
So
us
I'm
out.
going to leave. Is that okay?
Yeah, you are able to leave.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you. I'll see you all soon.
So we have 2 more important items on our agenda. One is the school liaison list. Another is pending absentees form. I mean, we don't have any form right now, right?
No, so
we don't have
it's-
any. So
that were submitted?
no,
Absentee
no,
form?
we don't have any submitted form yet. Right. So the actually 2 important things. One is the vacancy for Christina. And let's put this first. I think this is more important, right? For liaison, I support the table, but let's see the vacancy first. So
before we start that, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
If that's okay, before we get started with that, I have a couple of questions actually. If that's
just be quick.
Excuse me.
Well, we don't want to let it out.
Out of the room.
Oh yes, I'll be quick. I'll be quick. Sorry, I didn't hear that at the end of what you said. Yes, I'll be quick. The school liaison list is, I'm trying to phrase this delicately. There are buildings in our district that host or co-locate with D75 schools or D75 programs within their building. And it's very concerned. This is something I noticed at the end of last year, but I was brought on in May and there were no liaising schools that were available for me to do in a month, right? I noticed it last year and it was something that I was curious about, had additional conversations over the summer, and I want to have a conversation here and understand why it is that though D75 schools and D75 programs are co-located in our general education buildings in this district, why we are not also liaising with those schools.
Because they're under a separate superintendent, and you also see that repeated at the high school level, that within one building you may have 3 schools that are under 3 different superintendents.
No, yeah,
So
totally. I know that, but
Right.
they have a separate superintendent. They also have their own citywide CC, right? They have
Right.
CCSE, they have D75. But I think the fact remains that these are children who go to school in our community, and these are schools that are in our community. So to make the choice to say we don't liaise, though they may be just one floor up, we are not going to act as liaison to these schools or to these programs, is not something that I am.
Yeah, I think this question is more for space. Because liaison is an official title, we can't make the decision on our
We can make the decision to visit.
You can list this as a resolution or something.
We are provided with a list of like schools to liaison that are either covered by our superintendent, or in the case of the 6 to 12 schools, they're still placed by the superintendent. So I mean, it's definitely a thing, and that's part of the reason that Quentin was also that brought in.
Yes, no, guys, I'm aware of all of that. I'm aware. I'm asking on a person-to-person level for the members of this CEC. What is there a reason that any of us have hesitation?
You can raise it as a resolution or something. Totally clear. Yeah.
No, it just wasn't on there, but it's something that we can choose to do.
Thank you, Natifa. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Wonderful.
Touch on this real quick. I had a conversation with VJ because the school that he's a liaison is where my son is in the building for 811Q, and I asked him because they have a different principal, different setup, if he's liaison, and that's when I found out exactly what they were. That it's separate. However, I'm still gonna go there and like talk to them just because I'm like, my son goes here, and like I could have really used an education council where we were going through certain things and there's just nowhere to go, and it's really hard. But since he's there, I just told him, hey, can I just partner with you when you're going, because we're in the same building. And he was even open to the idea of like, but if you're saying it's like a conflict with face,
it's not.
I was just like
they gave us what we have to do, but we as a council, being trying to be equity minded, trying to be all of that, we should do that. It's something again, which is where who is in the room.
So it's faces.
Important.
So
You don't have questions about something. Right. You don't have many people who are bringing up IP issues or D75. Sometimes it gets overlooked.
Yeah.
So it's a
I think we shouldn't discuss this, here, because it's really not belong to.
This is the exact place to have this conversation.
I think
this is a question for members.
Resolution or something to ask them to add this something like.
We don't need a resolution
as a
question, though, guys.
No, we don't have to. We can be liaison to whatever it is. We have to be to those, but we can choose to be to multiple.
Yeah, that was my question, Natifa.
Yeah, we don't need
thank you.
A resolution for that.
There's no resolution needed.
That's internal council business.
Yeah.
So you are saying you can add those 75 schools to the list?
Yeah, they're in the school buildings we visit anyway.
I don't think so.
If we were going, look,
because if you think about it, right? It's basically you have a title, and those the principal have an obligation to talk to you, right? Put you in as a team. I think this is something we need to ask place to clarify. But I don't think we can come to a conclusion in this meeting because we don't know.
That's fine. The reason I was saying to move to slightly table it, Adriana, is because we were going to deal with the vacancy for Christine and then come back.
Oh yeah, no, I'm totally fine with tabling it. It's just the question is like if the school is upstairs. Just like
it doesn't and as a matter of fact, when you have 2 schools co-located in the building, you can be the liaison for both. But you can also have multiple, because sometimes, it's just like if you go to the same insurance for a claim, you'd have two people represented so that there isn't a conflict in terms of
And it doesn't
representation.
like it doesn't need to be super formal, but these are people, these
Yeah.
are children, these are adolescents that
Can
are
we
in our
can we just
community.
We have to move on. I'm sorry, I have to cut off you short. We have to move on, right? We have really tight time, time limit.
We have very limited time.
Right.
Table it and discuss it. and-
Yeah. We can go next, next meeting or whatever. Right. We're probably our WhatsApp. We can start some talk. So for the vacancy seat for Christian, right? So she missing the meeting on July, August, and today is September. So already 3 meetings, and she never replies to the email. So we cannot, make any excuse for those absence anymore. So I move to propose to vacant this seat, and we can vote. So
So if we make a motion, I second the motion to initiate a vacancy for Christine Sacrosanto based on non-responsive and non-attendance.
Are we going to police person, but do it ever establish anything, or not?
She responded to like one email.
She responded to two emails, but it was nothing pertaining to the question I asked about attending the meeting. It was just saying, oh, this is, I received a fan now. Something like this. So she never, I sent a couple emails, we respond to you, you're in jeopardy of this proceed, you have the access today, please let us know if you'll be attending our meeting.
Okay, so it's fair to say that all effort was made to contact the member to inform them of what the consequences of not showing up for their meeting was. They never completed their oath of office.
Yeah.
So at this point in time, based on this one, we should be able to vote to vacate the seats. And to be able to post a second, so we'll have to do a resolution for that, right?
No. We just have to vote on. Yeah.
Okay.
So
roll call.
Yeah, roll call on this.
Okay.
Proposal.
So for the motion to vacate the seat for Christine Sacrosanto, do you vote for Vice President Musa?
Yes.
Second Vice President Rose Wagner?
Yes.
Recording Secretary Nancy Lewis? Yes. Treasurer Louis Tauchen?
Yes.
Member Jalen?
Yep.
Member Teresa?
Yes.
Member Clinton Messenger?
Yes.
Member Sacrosanto? Absent. Member Dharma?
Yes.
Member Adriana Licio?
Yes.
Member Jiran Jatton? And absent.
Okay, so unanimous, 9 yeses, 2 absent.
Okay, so after this and during the consent, so what happens next?
The same thing has happened to Mohammed's seat. The member would be, well, there's one slight difference. The member would be sent an official notification that there has been a vote to vacate their seat for non-attendance, and the position will be posted. We'll get the position posted again on the website. Applicants would submit their applications directly to FACE, and then we go through the process similar to what we
She has a period of time to appeal. I think, I remember.
There's an email that
Because last time. So how is she getting informed about this decision? With another email or something?
So, things now.
No, when they.
Get her vote.
Yeah.
And I copied them on the email too, and she has responded to that. She never did on the video, she wouldn't attend the orientation, we sent her phone, she never responded to me.
Yeah, I mean, these are kind of
I can read the email that was sent when we had to do the last removal. After third unexcused absence, the CEC shall declare the seat vacant by resolution. So we do need to, so we made a vote to declare that. We'll now write the resolution for that. Council should inform the members intent to vacate the member's seat by using the attached notice. So during the report that back to you. When a parent vacancy occurs, the CEC shall fill the vacancy for the remainder of non-expired term by election of public. CEC shall publicate the vacancy widely, describe the application process and specify that. Okay, all candidates must obtain the CEC vacancy application phase and return. I'm going to just forward this just for.
We can't hear you guys. We cannot hear you guys. No one can hear you.
Oh, sorry. So we just shared the information that we do need to create a resolution. We voted on this, but we have to have a formal one that is sent out, and a notice of intent to vacate that will be sent to the member. So we will be liaising with FACE to follow up on the next steps based on the process.
Yeah.
So
next topic is my proposal is to table this to the next meeting because we have a new member. So I think it's feasible next meeting we have plenty time to allocate the because we have basically 3 new members to distribute some of the schools. I think we need more time. It's probably better we do that next time. Anybody have a different opinion on this?
I make a motion to table liaison list to the next meeting.
Second.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we finished all the business today.
Minutes.
Oh, minutes. Do I have a? We have a minute for the. So.
On the Dorinda account, right? Yes. Oh, CC. Not the one that says administrative assistant? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So this is the minute for August calendar meeting, and anybody have problem, suggestion for this minute? So I make the motion to pass the minute.
Second.
Okay, minute pass. So we finish our business today, and enjoy your evening. I have the motion to dismiss the meeting.
Second.
Okay. Okay.
Bye,
Good night.
Good night.
I hope that doesn't mean the pay.